Peace. All praise and glory to the mighty Most High, our Creator, who is one God. There is none like him. Blessings to the children that serve one God, those that turn back to one God. Peace be upon you. Very excited. This is 40, the closing chapter of Exodus. Finishing it out. Let's go ahead and jump in on here. XL, chapter 40. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, On the first day of the first month ye shall erect the tabernacle of the tent of meetings. Okay, let's remember now that this calendar here that you are living by was long before the Gregorian calendar. So there are channels out there that have a much better understanding of the calendar. I'm more into this truth about to find the contradictions in the stories, point the contradictions out to you, share with you things of my theology that don't make sense in the Bible, question things that are happening that don't in the Bible. That was an interruption for my dad. So I lost my thoughts. Month shall be erected of the tent of meetings. I've completely blown where I was at in my head that I was talking about. And you shall put in the ark of the testimony, and you shall screen the ark with the veil. And you shall bring in the table and arrange it, and you shall bring in the lampstands and set up the lamps, and you shall put the golden ark of the incense before the ark of the testimony, and set up the screen for the door of the tabernacle. You shall set the altar of burnt offerings before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of meetings. And place the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it. And you shall set up the court all around, and hang up the screen for the gate of the court. Then you shall take the anointing oil and anoint the tabernacle and all that is in it, and consecrate it and all its furniture, so that it may become holy. You shall also anoint the altar of burnt offerings and all its utensils, and consecrate the altar, so that the altar may become most holy. Remember, folks, when we're talking about consecrating the altar, they're talking about a sacrifice where they're spreading blood on the altar. And you're going to start seeing in these parables and stuff that sacrifice isn't necessary to the Creator, so that the altar may become most holy. You shall also anoint the basin and its stands, and consecrate it. Then you shall bring Aaron and his sons to the entrance to the tent of meeting, and shall wash them with water. Then you shall bring Aaron and his son, and shall wash them. Who's washing? Grown men. Who? That sounds kind of weird to me. It does. Are Aaron and his sons washing themselves? But the sentence sounds like the Lord is commanding Moses to wash them. Then you shall bring Aaron. Who? Then you, Moses, shall bring Aaron and his sons to the entrance to the tent of meetings, and shall wash them with water. Now, if it said wash their feet, wash their hands, wash their feet, I get that. But to leave that open for them is like to wash them, their entire bodies, all that's kind of washy to me. Getting into things that don't make sense inside of the Bible. and put on Aaron the holy garments. And let's remember, folks. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Israel, or anyone that may be listening to me that is Israel, doesn't like hearing that Aaron built you an altar. You know, I was out there praying to the Creator about this. And the first thing is you guys have come out of Egypt. You're out in the desert. Moses is given instructions. He's up in the mountain, getting the instructions from the Creator, the supreme, self-existing, eternal Spirit. I guess in this case it would be Yahweh. That's who it would be. Moses would be getting the instructions from Yahweh, is what I'd be guessing. Brings everybody out of the desert. Brings you out of slavery, brings you out of bondage. All of you are in the desert for a period of time, 40 days before the people of Israel start shouting out and saying, build a God. Not just shouting out to anyone, but shouting out to the highest priest, Aaron. Aaron, make us a God. So what did Aaron say? Bring me your gold. Bring me your gold. That's what Aaron says. Hold on. You've just been brought out of slavery. You've just been saved from bondage, from being destroyed, held back, and then the highest priest for the Israelites is just going to say, bring me your gold. Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll make you a calf. This is part of the stories. I keep saying this because as the story goes on in all of these lessons, you get to start seeing the contradictions yourself. Does it make sense to you that a priest of the Most High, the supreme, self-existing, eternal Spirit, would use Aaron as a speaker to the children of Israel, the Israelite out there in the desert, the Hebrew, and that he'd just roll over and make an idol for Israel? Number one, that doesn't make any sense at all to me. Okay. Number two, that the people have said that multiple times through reading Exodus that they would do all that the Lord said. And clearly they don't do all that the Lord has said. So what's my point here? Am I attacking the Israelites? No. I'm saying that when Israel left Egypt that day, and you guys went out into the desert and everything, you had imposters mixed in with you. You weren't all Israel when you went out in the desert that day. You were Canaanites mixed in with Israelites, pretending to be Israelites, because anybody that was a true Israelite, knowing that they're being marched out in the desert and have been relieved from the bondage and slavery of the Egyptians. Egypt simply means bondage and slavery to the Egyptians. Anyone that was marched out in that desert that day that was Israel knew who they were and their position in creation story and what they were to do. So anybody, to me, the story washes out when you have Israelites all of a sudden saying after 40 days, make us a God. Makes no sense at all. I don't even believe for 1 second that Aaron ever made a bull God. Because had Moses come down off of that mountain and saw his brother making an idol out of gold from his brother's hands, he would have busted them stone tablets straight over his brother's head for creating such an abomination to the Creator. So you know damn well that you had imposter Israelites or Canaanites that weren't Israelites were the ones that said make us a God, because there's just no way that you ever get me to believe that the Israelite that is serving the Creator, the Spirit of God, is gonna be dancing around an idol. But 2/3 of God's children, as it says, are gonna be destroyed. And 2/3 is what? It's 6.6666, endlessly 666. And put on Aaron the holy garments. So question, you got to make a decision here, folks. Did Aaron make a bull calf for the people of Israel? Or did he not? I don't think he did. I don't think that Aaron really did. I think the story's a wash. I think it's bullshit. And I say that if he did, then the Lord would have been a little bit more pissed off than to all of a sudden, build the Israelites a calf and then turn around and make him a high priest after building an idol. That makes no sense at all. So there's that. That doesn't make sense. And you shall anoint him and consecrate him so that he may serve me as priest. You shall bring his sons. Now remember, whoever this is saying that you shall serve me as priest. So he shall serve me as a priest. Serve who? Yahweh? Who is this Lord in the tabernacle that's having bread left for it, that has these utensils that it's going to be eating with? Who is it? Yahweh? How about Jehovah? Huh? Who is it? Is it Yah? Or how about Yahweh? Okay? These are all names for the Supreme Creator. So when it says here, consecrate him so that he may serve me as priest, who? The Spirit? The Supreme Self-Existing Eternal Creator? It needs to have a fresh loaf of bread brought to it? And more importantly, let me ask you something. Is this ritual still going on? And if it is going on, who's the priesthood? If this ritual is still going on to this day, is it a black priesthood? Or is it a white priesthood? Or is it an intermixed priesthood? How could this be then? What's the priesthood that's in charge here? Are those in Jerusalem today? Are they the priesthoods? Are they the ones that exercise this? Because if you've been on my channel at all for any length at all, you know that those that are in the province of Jerusalem today have hijacked this system. Okay? You got to understand that Adam and Eve, who were spiritual beings inside of a place where death didn't exist, ate from an apple, became with the knowledge of good and evil, and were cast out from a plane of existence where death didn't exist into a plane of existence that was death. This place here is death. When Adam and Eve were cast out, they're spiritually killed. They were spiritually cut off from God that day. That's what it means. Because Adam and Eve went on to have children, right? Naturally. So, Satan and God said that you surely die that day. Satan said that you will not surely die that day. Satan was telling you that your flesh will not surely die that day, but it's your spirit. He didn't say, no, you won't die. Your flesh won't die. You won't die. And no matter what it is that he would have said would have mattered anyways. Because all he was trying to do is entice Eve into a conversation. Remember, he's crafty. He seduced her into a conversation first. Okay? It was the conversation that mattered. It was his word craft. It was the way that he addressed words. It was the way he brought it to her. It was the way he made her. He spoke to her in a way that he knew her response, what it was going to be, before she even said it. That's how crafty he was. He's like a grandmaster chess player playing a 5-year-old kid who's just learning how to move the pieces. That's the difference of how crafty he was. Adam and Eve knew nothing. They didn't know of knowledge. They didn't know anything. The snake, folks, the serpent, it's a metaphor for a man that has snake-like personality and characteristics. It's a wily serpent. It's somebody that's wild and out of line. Okay, you shall bring his sons also and put coats on them and anoint them as you anointed their father, that they may serve me as priests, and their anointing shall admit them to the perpetual priesthood throughout their generations. This Moses did. So, see, the thing here is, folks, who is being led by Israel today? Who is Israel's leader? Wouldn't Israel themselves have one single leader? Huh? You're a nation of people. Where's your leader at? Why don't you have a leader? Because I would say because you guys are so bullheaded, you don't listen to God. Your leader's the Spirit. That's why you don't have a leader, because you've fallen into this construct, and you've fallen into the material world and fallen into the riches, and you don't think that the priests of the Israelites were susceptible to sin or anything else, just like any of us were. If you're born into this realm of existence, folks, you're susceptible to sin. Okay? Unless your parents are keeping you straight from it and you're totally like away from everything, and you're not asked questions where you have to lie to your parents, or they don't make you feel like you're in trouble for anything like that, and you're never put in a position where you have to do anything that's dishonest. Everything that's around you, you're spoon-fed. You just wouldn't know how good it was until you're dropped in the middle of the frickin' city. That's the difference. You can be brought up properly. Remember the movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger? And what's his name? I was going to say Joe Pesci, but that's not it, man. Danny DeVito, I think it is. And the movie they played in was Twins. Danny DeVito played the mess. Arnold Schwarzenegger was everything that was pure. Another truth bomb in Hollywood. That there's something that God created that was waste. And that's how they put the word when Danny DeVito wasn't expected in it. He was a side effect. He was a side of embryo. We wasn't expecting Danny DeVito. We wasn't expecting this wasteful man. We were trying to produce a hybrid. Oh, another. See, since the truth has been presented to me and the scales have been removed from my eyes, any movie that I've ever watched in the past has different meaning to me today than just as sitting there and watching it as entertainment, because Hollywood is telling you the truth, and Satan himself, I'm telling you, when you stand before God for judgment, is going to tell you, I told him, because Satan has to tell you, mankind has to tell you the truth. Okay? They don't come out and say, yes, we've never been to the moon before, we've been lying to you and bullshitting with you and anything like that. What they do is they put the truth in front of your face with people at NASA saying things like, yeah, it's all CGI, or we can't go back to the moon because we lost our technology. If you buy into these kind of garbage excuses, or like NASA's lost every photo that ever existed at the trip to the moon, okay, this is how they tell you that it's bullshit. Okay, you got to read between the lines. You got to understand what they're saying. They're telling you the truth. I see dead people. Okay, Christians, you're all dead people. Anyone that serves other gods, dead people. You are the fallen ones. They're metaphorically telling you, you are the walking dead all day long. They're telling you, you're the walking dead. according to all that the Lord had commanded him, so he did. In the first month of the second year, and this is probably, at this point in time, there's probably only about 10 months, is what I would say, in the year back then. And anyone that knows more about this that wants to give me information on it, roll it down there in the comment section. Okay? On the first day of the month, the tabernacle was erected. Moses erected the tabernacle. He laid its bases and set up its frames and put in its poles and raised up its pillars. And he spread the tent over the tabernacle and put the covering of the tent over it, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He took the testimony and put it into the ark, and put the poles on the ark, and set the mercy seat above the ark. The mercy seat. On this plane of existence, you remember the movie Braveheart? The mercy seat. He was placed on a tabletop, and the persecutioner was telling him that he would give him mercy if he just called out, I guess, to the king's name. I can't remember what it was. I think he was supposed to scream out mercy, is what he was supposed to scream out, to ask for mercy, meaning that he would kill him quickly. And if he didn't scream out mercy, then he'd cut his testicles off, or he'd snip his fingers off one at a time, or he'd maybe gouge off an ear, or a death by 1,000 cuts, as painful as the death could be. So, spiritually speaking, what is the mercy seat? Is it mercy between life and death? Or will it be when you die, that's it for you? You get your judgment, and then you're just left in complete darkness, never to see any other entity, never to see any other energy force, never to be involved with anybody ever again, but simply aware eternally in darkness. That's pretty horrifying, folks. I mean, I don't want to be in the fire, and I don't want to be conscious in darkness for eternity. Would that not be hell within itself? To be separated from your Creator, knowing now that you're in darkness and your punishment is to be like this forever. You can't see anybody, can't talk to anybody, can't be with anybody. Whoo! That's heavy duty. Set the mercy seat above the ark. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle and set up the veil of the screen. And the screen, the ark of the testimony, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He put the table in the tent of meeting on the north side of the tabernacle, outside the veil, and arranged the bread on it before the Lord. So now we know whatever Lord is inside the tabernacle is engaging and eating the best bread. Bread daily is brought into him before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded. At least it said that in another. Like I said, if you go back to 38, Exodus 38 and Exodus 28, you read those two chapters, they're almost mirror each other. They almost all say the same thing. It's like repeating itself again, over. Okay? So he arranged the bread on it before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He put the lampstand in the tent of meetings opposite the table of the south side of the tabernacle, and set up the lamps before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. (26) He puts the golden altar in the tent of meetings before the veil, and burned fragrant incense on it, as the Lord had commanded Moses. he put in place the screen for the door of the tabernacle, and he set the altar of burnt offerings at the entrance to the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, and offered on it a burnt offering and a grain offering, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He set the basins between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it for washing, with which Moses, Aaron, and his sons washed their hands and feet. Now see, that sounds proper. The last previous before that didn't sound proper to me. The Lord was having Aaron and his sons, the priests, brought before the Lord and wash them. It almost sounds like Moses was being commanded to wash Aaron and wash his sons. But this now sounds proper. It sounds right. Duality. Duality exists in this Bible. When they went into the tent of meetings and when they approached the altar, they washed as the Lord commanded Moses. And he erected the court around the tabernacle and the altar and set up the screen to the gate of the court. So Moses finished the work. Now remember, all this that's being done is being done for the new laws that are getting ready to come up inside of the Bible. Because as we read further, Moses is going to be dealing with Israel day in and day and night with their bickering back and forth. So a system is being created here. Even within the Israelites, you guys are creating a system of control, of government. Okay? If your religion is a government religion, or you consider it a government religion tied in with the United Nations, then your religion is a false religion. The only religion, there is no religion. It's spirituality, folks. Spirituality is where it all exists. Okay? When they went into the tent of meetings and went around the tabernacle and the altar and set up the screen to the gate of the court, so Moses finished the work. The glory of the Lord. Then a cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Okay, I got a question. If this is an ongoing covenant going on with the Creator, is there a cloud somewhere in this world that's over a tabernacle? Someone fill in my gaps, man. Help me understand, okay? Is this happening to today, this very day? Is this going on? Okay, if it is going on, what providence is it going on at? Where's it going on at? Please tell me. And Moses was not able to enter the tent of meetings because the cloud settled on it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Well, I'm kind of confused here, because in 33, 9 through 11 tells us that Moses was sitting with the Lord face to face, like one sits with a friend. So now all of a sudden, what is holy, the Spirit is over this tabernacle, has come into the tabernacle. Clearly, Moses isn't allowed because the presence of the Lord was on the tent. Just saying that out. Throughout all the journeys, whenever the cloud was taken up over the tabernacle, the people of Israel set out. So to this day at all, is there a cloud that sets over this tabernacle? Does Israel have their Ark of the Covenant? Why? What's going on? Where are all these biblical artifacts that are supposed to exist, but yet they're out of hand? They're not in museums or anything else. No pieces at all. But if the cloud was not taken up, then they did not set out until the day it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was on the tabernacle by day, and fire was in it by night, in the sights of all of Israel throughout all their journeys. So this is like a journey. This is like them packing up, moving around, moving from one place to another place to another place. Oh, that would be awful. I'm 60 years old. I've probably moved about frickin' at least once every 2 or 3 years, man. That's a lot of moving throughout the course of a person's life. And believe me, moving sucks now. And I'm going to have to make another move after my dad passes away. And I may have to make another move after that. You just never know. But today, I just don't care. I just serve God, I worship God, and I let Him lead me. When my dad passes away, that'll be between me and the Lord, wherever He wants me to go. I don't know. Anyways, we've completed Exodus. I hope that you've enjoyed the programs. No one can say to me ever, you got to read the whole entire Bible, because I'm going to read the entire Bible right in front of you. Not only am I going to read the entire Bible right in front of you, I am going to write this entire Bible right down in front of you. So no one can ever say to me, you're taking something out of text. You know what? Look at my comment section. Look at my comment section. Am I being corrected from anyone? Is anybody offering any advice? Is anybody putting anything down? Is anybody correcting me? No, because there's nothing to really be corrected about. You've got to question these stories that are going on in the Bible. The stories are not as important in the Bible as it is the message. What's the message? Serve one God. That's the message that White Raptor News brings to you. Serve the eternal, perpetual, always existing, living God, the Spirit of truth. It must be the Spirit of truth. You have to walk with the Spirit of truth. Talk to the Spirit of truth. Call on the Spirit of truth. Ask for the truth to be placed on you so discernment comes to you. If not, you'll never find it. Much love to all who serve the Creator, all that love Him, all that have repented, all that turn back to Him. Doesn't matter whether you're a Gentile, whether you're a Hebrew, whether you're indifferent, whether you're a stranger, Nephilim, or anything else. If you stop what you're doing, you repent to God, you turn from your sins, you love Him, you ask Him with a deep, concerned, sincere heart for your transgressions, from falling away from Him into this lying world and being part of the lies yourself, being part of the cheating, being part of the adultery and the idol worship and the murder and the drugs and the partying and the alcohol and whatever it is that your sin is. We're all engaging in sin, all right? And even worse is, it's terrible for me to think that people go through their life and they could be doing right by what they think that they're doing, by worshiping a Trinity God, and do what's right, and then end up in the hellfire because you listen to people mislead you about what the Bible's really saying. You watched Jesus Christ crucified on a cross from The Passion of Christ, or The World's Greatest Story Ever Told. These are all Jesus Christ stories. Look, if you got a story about Jesus Christ, then that story should remain the same through eternity. Not fucking Hollywood, portraying this and painting these stories of Jesus Christ in different ways, in different manners. Because Malachi 3:6 says, I am the Lord and I change not. So any changes that were occurred inside of the Bible are mostly lies. All praise and glory to the mighty Most High. Blessings to you, the children that serve the Most High. This is White Raptor News Ministries.